commentator Marty Morrissey with Micheál O'Shea.
Thank you very much, Michael. Welcome to Croke Park, the All-Ireland Minor Hurling semi-final, the first about to start under the refereeing of John Sexton from Tipperary. Tipperary start the same team that won the Munster Championship by beating Cork. Goalkeeper Patrick McCormack is fronted by a defensive sextet that remains intact for their fifth successive game. Centre-back Diarmuid Fitzgerald captains a side that has Conor O'Mahony and Joe Caesar at midfield. The attack features two David Kennedys at centre and corner forward, who combine nicely with Pat Short, David Morrissey, Francis Devaney and Trevor Ivers. Galway start five of the team that won the All-Ireland last year. Tony O'Gregan transfers from wing-back against Derry to full-back this afternoon, with Shane Kavanagh now at number 6 and Joe O'Leary at left half-back. Captain Ger Farragher's partner in midfield is Tom Tierney, while the attack looks well balanced with the inner line of Joe Gantley, Kenneth Burke and Johnny Marr, all blessed with goal-scoring touches, as seen in the match against Derry. Match referee John Sexton from Brewery starts this match with Galway deciding to play against the breeze, or rather more importantly Diarmuid Fitzgerald playing from left to right. He won the toss. That's the Tipperary minor captain. These two counties of course are great rivals, both at minor, under 21 and senior level, and every time they meet there's usually a pulsating, exciting encounter. Joining me in the commentary position here this afternoon is Micheál O'Shea. Micheál, your analysis of this game?
Well, is that the raw Marty? She had Galway round the cutting to against the Gal Lackadoidi. She had heard three ravas a kile. I stole him go Anahahi, Pachta a good moon, get Tobradar, and for Hither Gamachanai, Horse and a hammer to get aroused as father night coffee. I shot Tobradar and an unseen.
Tipperary attack just got out this time. Kieran Finnerty. Tipperary come here with impressive credentials, beating Kerry, Clare after a replay, and then Cork in the Munster Hurling final. Galway were more involved recently, of course, just a short 2 weeks ago when they took on Derry. A bit of a mismatch here in Croke Park. Here's John Sexton from Brewery from Limerick. His big match before this was the Cork-Wexford Allianz National Hurling League, so this is a big day for the Limerick man. Ger Farragher, captain of Galway, seeking his third All-Ireland minor medal in a row, thus immolating people like Jimmy Doyle of Tipperary. Can the Tipperary players deprive him of that opportunity? Shane Sweeney gets it down just a little bit. Galway back into the attack, but we've had heavy rain, as Michael mentioned earlier, here in Dublin all morning. It's going to make conditions rather difficult for these young minor hurlers. No wind, plenty of rain. Left half forward Adrian Culnan, and that is gone over the bar for the first point after just 2.5 minutes of play. Culnan from Crowell is one of 4 players from last year's All-Ireland winning side, and a very versatile player. Left half back Joe O'Leary. He's come back into the side, sending it up towards Brendan Lucas. Lovely skill. Good crossfield ball, but intercepted well by Shane Sweeney. Vaughan Lynch from Portumna. Looking aside the challenge of 2 Tipperary players, but runs into trouble. Tipperary have it once more. Conor O'Mahony from Newport, sending it long, knocked down by Cathal Dervan. Tony O'Gregan beaten to it as Tipperary open up this Galway defence, but back there again is Joe O'Leary. And left corner back Kieran Finnerty. Referee maintains that the cornerback was taking too many steps, so this is going to be a free in for Tipperary. Pat Short is the player that's going to take it, and he has had a very impressive Munster Championship campaign. He scored 9 points against Cork in the Munster final, 5 from frees. So he comes to Croke Park with quite a reputation. And straight between the posts for Pat Short from Upper Church from back. Josie Hart, the manager there with the maroon jersey on the extreme left of picture. This is his first year in charge of the Galway Miners. Breaking ball picked up by Adrian Culnan. Shane Sweeney dispossessed. Comes to the Tipperary captain, Diarmuid Fitzgerald. Once again, it's Owen Lynch. Swinging this across field over towards Adrian Culnan. Pull forward Kenneth Burke. Lobbing this in very high, but very much to the right and wide. The first wide of the game for Galway. Both teams very unsettled, Micheál.
Well, ní tiad soccer to she's fós pon fád an the clown agus dar no occurred on the word don da irin acha scoring a martian henig I'm sure hit gan da have goodies of Pat Short the Vaughan shoot to food the Pat McGrath a we gimmer to Leline Babs Keating agus Len Gainer.
Here come Galway again. This time it's Tom Tierney, brother of David. Flicking it inside towards Kenneth Burke. Chance here for Brendan Lucas. And he drives it wide. But Galway look very strong here so far, particularly around midfield. Here's Kenneth Burke setting up Lucas, and he hit it with all his might, but as you can see, into the side netting. Josie Hart will be anxious that his young charges avail of every opportunity, or at least a large percentage of them. Owen Lynch dominating that right half back spot against David Morrissey. Johnny Marr comes out around midfield to try and gather possession. This time Owen Lynch was pulling the jersey of David Morrissey, so that's going to be a free for Tipperary. This is Paddy McCormick, manager of the Tipperary side that did so well in Munster. Pat Short. Hitting this sweetly over the bar. Good score. 9 in the Munster final, 2 in the All-Ireland semi-final. Pat Short is doing very well so far, maintaining his consistency. Conor O'Mahony being fouled, and the referee is taking out his book and wants to have a word with the Galway defender. And just noting the name, I think, of Shane Kavanagh, the centre half back from Kinvara. Pat Short was a member of the Templemore CBS side that lost the Harty Cup final 2 years ago to Flannans. He was one of the stars in getting them to that Munster final. And this has gone to the left and wide. That's his first error as such in this game. 2 out of 3 is not a bad record after just over 8.5 minutes of play, or 8 minutes as such. Conor O'Mahony. Now blocked down. It comes to Tom Tierney. Hits it on the turn, but it's just going to the left and wide. Four of last year's All-Ireland winning side playing for Galway here today. There's Tony O'Gregan at full-back, Shane Kavanagh at centre-half back, Ger Farragher midfield, Adrian Culnan at left half, and of course Joe Gantley also appeared in the final. That ball flicked out. That's going to be a sideline ball for Galway. And of course last year as well in this Galway side, Joe O'Leary, that we'll be mentioning quite a lot so far at left half back, was the sub goalkeeper. So a lot of talent and a lot of experience from last year. That's a lovely cut. One of the great skills of the game of hurling being shown here by Castlegar's Ger Farragher.
Agus deise gan éisio iiscint agus skill an a bhaid fag seohain tríú báta ha sé dianta u barca Croke ige for sé puck taobhlíne a gluhi canis na héireann ionnaigh agus arabhónaigh.
Nobody really grabbing that slither and sending it forward. Francis Devaney finally got a touch to it. David Morrissey is in around the full forward area as Tipperary make changes in their half forward line. This is cleared by Kieran Finnerty out over the sideline. Line ball for Tipperary, far side. David Kennedy from Tumivara is going to take this sideline cut. Now a member of his club senior side. That's a very good ball. Nobody able to connect. So it's a puck out for Paul Doulahan, the Galway goalkeeper. Beautifully cut, but just carrying a little bit too much power and pace. Good calling by Ger Farragher, telling Kevin Hayes to give it back. And Farragher just sending it that to the left and wide. That's the fourth wide of this half so far for Galway. Tipperary fans coming early to watch their minor hurlers bid for a place in the All-Ireland final. Dermot Fitzgerald. Number 11 for Galway is Kevin Hayes. Francis Devaney has been switched for Tipperary from full forward to centre half forward to try and break the stranglehold that Galway thoroughly enjoy at the moment in that area. Galway forwards have sneaked inside the Tipperary cover. There's still a Galway player down, and the referee now, John Sexton, has blown his whistle. It's Kenneth Burke, obviously picked up an injury in that sequence. As you can see, Burke fell and obviously picked up an injury and subsequently got a boot on the side of the head as well. So some medical attention required for the St. Thomas clubman, which is an amalgamation of Kilcreast, Castledaly and Peterswell in County Galway. Throw-in ball. Joe Gantley, youngest of the Gantleys, playing a corner forward for Galway here this afternoon. Trevor Ivers trying to beat Kieran Finnerty. It's a good ball, but it doesn't have the accuracy. As that ball sent wide by Adrian Culnan, or rather Johnny Marr. Joe Caesar gets a touch to it, sends it up towards Trevor Ivers. Well won again by Kieran Finnerty, who switched over to mark Trevor Ivers. And that's going to be a free for that foul on the Galway man. And it's the first free of the match for Galway. That's after almost 14 minutes of play. Very even tussle, but in terms of dominating the midfield and half-back line, it certainly means the honours should be going to Galway. And Ger Farragher sends that one wide as well. They now have around half dozen sent to the wrong side of those goalposts. It's a factor that must be worrying Josie Hart, who's gone down towards the canal end to try and get his forwards to create more space. Kevin Hayes doesn't quite connect, picked up by Conor O'Mahony. Once again, Kieran Finnerty is showing great battling qualities at left corner back. Gives it out to Joe O'Leary. Trying to set up Kenneth Burke. Gets a pull on the ball and it comes into Adrian Cullinane. Scorer of the opening point. Tries to get inside his marker and he sends that over the bar. Second point of the game for the Crowell clubman. And Galway lead by 3 points to 2. Good stick work here by Cullinane and a very good score. Ger Farragher back out helping his defence. Ger Griffin from Ballynahinch. Good block down by Kevin Hayes on Shane Sweeney's efforts to clear the ball. This is Adrian Cullinane again. And that's on target. Cullinane, who played wing back last year, scored a goal and a point against Derry, now has 3 points to his personal credit here in this semi-final. Very good score. Breaking ball, chased after by Conor O'Mahony. It's this with great power, but unfortunately again to the wrong side of the post. Tipperary's third wide of the game. Well, we've had 16.5 minutes play, Micheál. It's a game that really hasn't sparkled into life yet.
And Castagut Neil in on him a force of her. Ach Farragher gimmer to house spot Adrian Cullinane chief into Gadisa. Agus dishin is Adrian Cullinane.
Great goal by Adrian Cullinane. A goal and 3 points, and Tipperary will have to make a move here because the number 12 for Galway from Crowell is causing serious problems. Lovely stick work again by Cullinane, and the finish here gave Patrick McCormick no chance whatsoever. The first goal from play that Tipperary have conceded in the championship, and McCormick hardly saw it really. But it took some lovely individual skill and a great finish. And Galway come looking for more, but this time Owen Lynch sends it to the wrong side of the post. Well, Micheál, maybe that was the spark that this game actually needed.
Good day, a good session. Anam a Dobradorn, mar Nietzsche the game at Homa Hanecher, Agus a Vider, Grave the Moon, Gofoil, Agus Cart the Bui, Nochtahe, and son that Diarmid Fitzgerald a captain.
Yes, Micheál, Diarmid Fitzgerald, the Tipperary captain, has just been shown a yellow card. Referee issuing the first yellow of the afternoon. Oh, lovely skill. Oh, beautiful skill by Ger Farragher. Flicking it up and then pulling it in midair. Here's Johnny Marr. Fouled the possession, took too many steps, and that's going to be a free. Diarmid Fitzgerald just confirmed here that he's got a yellow card. He fouled actually as the Galway player was going through for the goal. The referee wisely allowed the advantage and then called him back. Dangerous ball from a Galway point of view, and it's a goal for Trevor Ivers. And Tipperary respond magnificently. Long ball dropping in around the house, Galway defence very, very loose here, and Ivers got the little touch that ensured that Tipperary stay very much in contention. Good block down again by Tom Tierney. Picked up by Conor O'Mahony. Francis Devaney has gone back in full forward to mark Tony O'Gregan. And Tipperary have an opportunity. Ivers again available. But that's sent over the bar by David Morrissey from Galtee Rovers. First point for David Morrissey. And suddenly Tipperary have gained confidence in that goal by Trevor Ivers. And a good point here by Morrissey.
David Morrissey in Teazógir a ball, fé sé blian a diag, be sé na bhanód ríist an blian se chúin agus a blian in the giag.
And it's Morrissey again, up towards Trevor Ivers. Left wing of the Tipperary attack, providing the scores at the moment. Shane Sweeney comes from the same club as Michael Babs Keating and Brendan Cummins. Ali Bacon Grange. Conor O'Mahony is getting some medical attention. Midfielder from Newport. He's one of 8 players for Tipperary that's underage next year. Played with the Tipperary under-16 team last year. Ger Farragher with the sideline cut. A lengthy one. Brendan Lucas is fouled by Pat Buckley, and the referee is going to have a word with the full back. And he's going to get a yellow card for that challenge on Brendan Lucas. Student in Mary Immaculate College in Limerick, National School Training College, and gets a yellow card. So that means 3 and 6 now have been booked for Tipperary. Referee has going in because there's been some off-the-ball shenanigans going on between Ger Griffin and Johnny Marr. He's now sorted out that particular problem, and the free can be taken by Ger Farragher, who sends that over the bar. That's his second point.
Agus Ryan Tahar he dianta get Tobra Darden, Pat Short to Lord Park, Joe Caesars the Latas David Kennedy de Glihan, agus David Morrissey a Larshley.
Nice little flick back fires Pat Short. Francis Devaney, Tony O'Gregan, fouled by David Morrissey, so that's going to be a free for the Galway number 3. Joe O'Leary, who played, of course, with Gort Community School in the All-Ireland Colleges final against St. Coleman's Fermoy earlier this year. Unfortunately, it was an unsuccessful day for Joe, as Adrian Culnan tries to send that ball in towards the Tipperary goalpost. Goes back out towards Joe O'Leary again. Can't stay in the field of play, so the referee is in fact going to give him a free for fouling by the Tipperary man. So we get another free for Ger Farragher. Between the two 65-metre lines. Hits this one well to the left of the goalpost. Joe Gantley's effort blocked down. Comes to David Morrissey. Hooked initially by Shane Kavanagh. This is Francis Devaney. But unfortunately off target again from his perspective.
Níl an ghaeilge le Liam Devaney dar nóch imríte seo sínsir do thuaimí bhara chomá.
Brendan Lucas, like Adrian Cullinan, causing problems on the wings, but unfortunately his shooting is just a little bit off. Over the far side there's going to be a substitution. Hugh Maloney is going to be introduced. He plays his club hurling with Éire Óg and Nina. He came in against Clare in the replay and scored a goal, and also came on in the Munster final for Trevor Ivers. So it looks like Dermot Corcoran is being mentioned as the player that's going off. Yes, he is. So it means there's going to be an alteration, because Hugh Maloney normally plays as a forward. Pat Short is taking up duty on Ger Farragher, and Hugh Maloney is in fact going to midfield to mark Tom Tierney. And that's the problem area really for Tipperary right from the beginning of this match. That's centre field and half forward lines, particularly centre field. Owen Lynch comes across to this wing to try and interrupt this particular Tipperary attack. Good work by Francis Devaney. Tony O'Gregan calls a halt to it. Well hooked by Francis Devaney. Joe O'Leary is there again, loses possession. Sideline ball to Tipperary. Tipperary continuing to battle in this match, by no means out of it, but trying to solve the problem areas very quickly. Despite that Galway dominance, still only 2 points adrift. Pat Short not getting underneath the slither. Gets a second chance and hits it straight over the bar. Well recovered. Pat Short with his 3rd point of the game. Made a bit of a mess of the sideline cut, but recovered very well, kept his composure and hit it straight over Paul Doulahan's crossbar. Tipperary continue to consult along the sideline. Vincent McKenna there and Paddy McCormack, two of the Tipperary management team. Here's Adrian Cullinan. There's a chop down there. And a Galway player, looked like Kenneth Burke. Full forward, so it's going to be a free for Tipperary. Ger Griffin giving it everything. Breaking ball comes out towards Joe Caesar. Dropping this one in, goalkeeper Paul Doulahan quickly off his line. Waiting for the break is Pat Short. That's a good low ball in towards Francis Devaney. Very difficult to hold possession here because of the terrible rain we've had in Dublin since early morning. Owen Lynch sending it long, and once again it's Brendan Lucas. Met with a fair shoulder from Pat Buckley. That's very good defending by the Tipperary full-back. Comes out however to Ger Farragher. Hugh Maloney is trying to deprive him of space. Good play by Tipperary. Stepping aside, David Kennedy needs to employ David Morrissey. Morrissey on the turn, sends it to the wrong side of the posts again. For Tipperary's 5th wide of the match. But the tempo of the game has increased. Tipperary have had 8 chances, Galway 13, which reflects overall Galway's superiority in this first half. A race for possession again. This time it's Tom Tierney. And it just barely ever makes the end line. So it's a puck out for Patrick McCormack. Tipperary goalkeeper is the son of manager Paddy McCormack, sub-goalkeeper last year. And is a member of the Thurles Sarsfields club. Ger Farragher is back there helping out his defence, but he gives the ball away. There's a chance here perhaps if Francis Devaney can win possession. Good defending again by Tony O'Gregan. Nice play by Trevor Ivers. And that's going to be a throw-in ball. Francis Devaney. Shane Kavanagh is the Galway number 6. Hugh Maloney. And again, it's Kieran Finnerty. Playing a great game at left corner back, but this time his clearance is not a good one. He's dropping in dangerously, but again, it's into the side netting.
Por bord na sille vi bedre gen Galway, ach chluhidir gach jawn me agus tá tabra darn sa chluhis ag láidir fós ní tsedach pointe bhain chun dedig.
Again, Galway continue to hold a grip at centre field. Ger Farragher being fed the ball by Adrian Culnan, and that is sailing over the bar. 3 points for the Castlegar man, and really it's an area that's crucial in any game, but certainly Tipperary are finding it very difficult to beat Tom Tierney and Ger Farragher, the latter scoring his 3rd point here. Into injury time now here in this minor match. Ger Farragher again. Good work by Kenneth Burke, but easily blocked down. The effort from Johnny Marr. Good defending by Ger Griffin. Great defending by Tony O'Gregan. He really has been dominant at fullback, most impressive. And the referee blows the half-time whistle. The game that really failed to sparkle only for the last 10 minutes or so. A goal by Adrian Culnan set Galway on the way. Trevor Ivers responded to bring Tipperary back in the match, but again Galway continued to dominate at midfield, and we'll see what happens in the second half. We'll have much more action from Croke Park. Half-time, Galway 1-6, Tipperary 1-4. We'll be back after this commercial break.
I choose to believe the glass is half full and that life is to be enjoyed, not endured. So I choose essential, the passionate and the delightful. Choose happiness. I choose to say yes. Choose Cadbury.
Universal Pictures invites you to the roller coaster ride of the summer. Steve Coogan is the parole officer. This time, there's nowhere to hide.
Brian, I thought you were going out. We have a video when I'm watching football. Do you want a cup of tea? I'd love a cup of tea. On the way, we're just coming, Brian. TV's bus. No. Is that right? I'm going to go down and watch it in the pub. See you later.
HB Selections, made to share.
I don't have a life.
Honest, it is.
All that work, all that training, and for what? Kissy lips, fancy trainer. You know you can do it. Yes! 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 You've got Lucas Sport inside you, right? And that helps the top athletes, the big kahunas, to keep going 33% longer. Fact! So dig deep and say, yes, Daddy, today's my day! You!
Each day across Ireland, we move over 200,000 people, over 180,000 kilometres. And yet, in over 80 million journeys every year, we still begin each one as if it was our first. So, from start to finish, you're better off on Bus Éireann.
And the papers. The Tipperary Star leads with manager Nicky English's comment that they will have to pull out all the stops. Traditionally, Tipperary have had awful trouble with Wexford in the championship. And you can be guaranteed one thing. They will have absolutely no fear of Tipperary. They have nothing to lose, says English. Our team in 1999 and 2000 were better geared for Munster. Well, now we need to play better hurling and launch an attack on bigger things. We hit 17 wides in Croke Park last year, and that just isn't good enough. In the Wexford People, manager Tony Dempsey says it has been a successful year for Wexford, regardless of Sunday's outcome. Tipperary are favourites by merit, Dempsey admits. They're a big team, but what I would be saying to the players would be that Limerick were favourites as well. I think this week is about psychological focus, and we'll be playing a role by convincing the players that we are capable of beating any team that is thrown out against us in Croke Park. We know that if we play Kilkenny again, the result will be different. Now, that's not to say that we will beat them, but I guarantee you the scores would not be the same, says Dempsey. That's the way the papers in the rival counties see it. Let's go down pitch side now to Ger Canning, who will be our big match commentator for that game, and he's with Cyril Farrell.
Thanks, Michael. And first of all, a little bit of team news for you. Wexford are here. Tip yet to arrive. Declan Ruth is going to wear the number 5 shirt for Wexford and play right half back. Still speculation about the number 24 in their team, and we have a feeling it's going to be Martin Storey. I've also got a feeling that Paul Kelly is going to play for Tipperary. They could have quite a few switches. We'll see that once the game gets underway. Well, we've got Cyril and Ger here with me as well. Well, first of all, Tipperary, Cyril. Have they got the winning habit this year? Because when matches are tight, they seem to be able to stay the course and win.
That's the big difference this year, Ger, with Tipperary. They've been together 3 or 4 years, and all the tight matches this year that they've played, they've actually sustained, held out under pressure and won by the point, whereas other years we were losing them games. And I'd say, they feel very confident coming in today.
They've had quite a long gap between matches.
That's the big problem. Wexford have played matches in between, and as you've seen in the football matches, those that have played competitive matches, no training can compensate for that, but they will still feel confident.
Ger, let's talk about Wexford now, because they had this fabulous win just 2 weeks ago in the quarter-finals. Against Limerick, they had tremendous intensity that day. They played with great passion. Can they summon all that up again?
Well, that was the secret of that win the last day, the passion with which they played. And I think they got that from the under-21 Leinster final. If anybody saw that on television, they played absolutely fantastic in that game. And the combination of the old and the new, the young fresh coming in with the older heads, that's what did it for them the last day, as well, of course, as the great start they got to the game. So they need a start like that again today, because this is a day the Tipperary do not want. They do not want slippery conditions, they do not want rain. That's what we've got today. So a very interesting game in prospect here.
It certainly is. We're looking forward to that. Of course, that starts at 3:30, and the minor second half still to come. We're going to take a break.
On the ball. boys discovered something real delicious on their last trip. Uncle Ben's sweet and sour sauce with extra chunky vegetables, peppers, onions, garlic. And just look at all that juicy pineapple. Smells great and tastes terrific, especially with Uncle Ben's rice. Why, it's so good, the boys are going back for more. Uncle Ben's, perfect every time.
For competitive home and motor insurance, ask your broker. Allianz, the power on your side.
The Far East is about to get a taste of the Wild West.
Oh, y'all look alike!
Chris Tucker, Jackie Chan, Rush Hour 2.
I literally woke up one morning and said, hey, where's my joy?
Through the Haagen-Dazs sensual eating program, you can find that joy.
At first I felt ridiculous, but enjoying pleasure is a life skill.
Pleasure is the path to joy.
The fridge opened, but it was me who filled up with light.
He found his joy. You can too.
At the bottom of the tub, I found my smile.
Pleasure is the path to joy.
Team still not out here for the second half of Croke Park between Galway and Tip. Galway leading 1-6 to 1-4 at half-time. Tomas Mulcahy, Pete Finnerty are here with me. Pete, the game was kind of lolling along at a sort of a fairly low pace until the Galway goal came along, and it seemed to spark it up a little bit anyway.
Yeah, it was kind of going dead really. There wasn't much happening. There was a lot of balls being hit wide, but that's probably due to nerves. It's their first time to play in Croke Park. Here we see Adrian Cullinan, he's right name, it's wrong in the programme, but picks up a ball, shows great pace to lose the wing back, has one look and bang, roofs the net. An excellent goal. He's been the star of the first half really for Galway. He scored 1-3 from play. He looks very similar to Kevin Broderick in the sense that he can score on left and right.
Yes.
But I noticed out there today that Tipperary are hitting a lot of balls wide and Galway are hitting a lot of balls wide, and it's probably due to the fact that these guys don't play too often in Croke Park, and you look up and you try and find the post, whereas with a simple stadium or somewhere like that, the Tipperary boys will be a lot more happier and a lot easier, and it'll be a problem for Tipperary as well, I'd say, in the senior game. It's a new environment for them. Wexford will be playing at home really here, so it's something to look to in the second game to see how it's going to develop for Tipperary.
Galway may wonder if scoring that goal was really to their advantage, Tomas, because it's actually woken Tipperary up. They got a goal to reply then from young Trevor Ivers.
Yeah, Tip were disappointing in that first half period until the Galway goal came, and here it came in around the square, and it's bobbling around, but it's good play by Trevor Ivers, keeps his ball eye on the ball and flicks it into the back of the net. They needed that score at that stage in the game because Galway were threatening to overtake it, and they need a few big performances from other key players. I think they've moved the likes of Pat Short out to the middle of the park. He was very influential in the last end of Munster final. He scored 9 points, 4 of those in play. He's got a bit more space and more room around the middle of the field, and he showed it there by scoring an excellent point just before the end of the first half period.
Would you feel, Pete, that the momentum seems to have moved towards Tipperary towards the end of that first half? But Galway seemed to be coasting it for the first period.
Galway were coasting, and once Tipperary got the goal, they got belief in themselves again, and Pat Short is having a great game. He's gone out to the middle of the field where Galway are dominant with Farrer and Tom Tierney, but he's gone out, he's picking up the loose ball, he has the pace to get in, and he has the ability to score. Francis Devaney is giving Sean Tony O'Regan plenty of it as well in the full forward line, and we saw Trevor Ivers, if a ball bounces around there, he's going to finish it. Galway will have to lift it now. They're probably sauntering along in a kind of cruise control, but they'll have to get a few more big players into the game. They need more forwards as well. You can't be relying on Cullinan to do it all.
Well, young Ger Farrer in the middle of the field has also played very well for Galway, of course.
He has. It's Ger Farrer his third year playing minor, and he's shown the maturity out there in the middle of the field. I'd say only he's such a big part of this minor team. He'd probably be on the senior panel, and he'd be looking forward to next Sunday. But he's given captain's leader's role out there. He got a ball in the middle of the field and tapped it over the bar. But one or two guys, as I said, will not win this game. We need Kevin Hayes to come into the game. We need Joe Gantley more, and we need to see more of Kenneth Burke at full forward. The longer the game goes on, and Galway have been favourites, the more belief the Tipperary will get. start, and Tipperary, this is their third or fourth match to play in this championship, whereas Galway's first. So the longer it goes, the more settled Tipperary will come. So Galway would want to get moving early in the first half or second half and try and get a few points on the board.
Cork would have fancied themselves in the Munster Championship, Tomas, and yet they were well skinned by this Tipperary side.
Yes, Tip were very impressive in the Munster final, and you have to give her credit for that performance. A lot of Tip followers themselves coming down with the belief that they didn't have a good minor team this year, but as Peter said earlier, you never know with minors. It's all how you react on the day, you know. And the one big thing about today, it's a bit slippery out there. You've seen players losing a bit of footing. They're finding it difficult maybe to get the first touch, get the ball up, and it's making for life difficult for hurling. Maybe the ground hurling that a lot of these players were used to hitting the ball off the top of the sod isn't happening today. So it's making for a kind of a tight game, and maybe one or two mistakes in the second half could decide this game.
And we will of course see the Cork minors in a week's time.
Yes, I mean they're back in training again. I mean that's the big advantage of the backdoor system. They're back in training and they're looking forward to next weekend again, and they've made a few changes to their side. They were disappointed in the Munster final and they'll be hoping to do better next Sunday.
Alright gentlemen, thank you very much. So then Galway with a 2-point advantage at half time. The Tip team now, as you can see, have resumed the field, so we're ready for the second half. Let's go back again to Marty and to Micheál.
Thank you very much, Michael. Indeed, just about that Galway performance, only 2 players have scored in the opening half, Ger Farragher and Adrian Culnan. Half-time, as you can see, just to confirm, Galway leading by 2 points, and John Sexton about to start the second half. Pat Short and David Morrissey have taken up positions around centre field for Tipperary in another effort to try and break the stranglehold on Galway and Joy in the opening 30 minutes. Here's Joe Gantley. This time Pat Buckley was ball watching as Kenneth Burke had sneaked inside, but luckily from his viewpoint Burke didn't avail of the chance. Conor O'Mahony playing a defensive role. Shane Kavanagh from Kinvara is fouled, and that's going to be a free for Galway. And once more, the responsibility rests with Ger Farragher. Farragher drives it between the posts for his 4th point, so it's a good start for Galway. And they now have a 3-point advantage. Long took out by Patrick McCormick. But again it comes to Shane Kavanagh, pumping this ball in towards the corner. It's going to be a Tipperary ball. Joe Gantley got a touch, knocking it off the hurley of Pat Buckley. Sideline ball Tipperary. Dara Walton didn't really connect properly. Cleared eventually by Shane Sweeney. Nice stick work by Kenneth Burke. Outside him is Brendan Lucas. Difficult angle, and just proving a little bit too difficult for the wing forward. That's the 11th wide of the game for Galway, but they still enjoy a 3-point advantage on the scoreboard. Again, a lengthy puck up by Patrick McCormick. Good running off the ball by Joe Caesar. Tries to lob one in. And the goalkeeper gets a hurley to it, Paul Doulahan. And that's going to be a 65. First 65 of the match for Tipperary. Joe Caesar from Killinall cutting through the Galway defence here, and Doulahan had to be alert. Pat Short dropping this straight over the crossbar. Good score. 4 points for the wing forward, now operating at centre field. Great catch by Dermot Fitzgerald. And lashes it back down towards the goalpost. It's dropping, but it's dropping to the wrong side of the post. Wonderful play by centre-half back Dermot Fitzgerald, on the team for the last 2 years, and is a player of rich potential. Fitzgerald going for it again, this time beaten by his marker, Kevin Hayes. Flicking it over towards Johnny Marr in a bit of space. Joe Gantley doing good work again as Ger Griffin and Darragh Walton. This is the goal scorer for Tipperary, Trevor Ivers. Dropping it down towards Hugh Maloney. And Tipperary man is fouled, and the referee wants to have a word with the Galway man for that foul on Francis Devaney. And that's going to be an opportunity here now for Tipperary. Tony O'Regan being spoken to, and could well see a yellow card here. He does indeed. Tony O'Regan, son of the famous Tony Horse Regan from University College Galway, or NUG as it's now called. And of course he's the sports administrator there. Referee for dissent. Looks like he didn't like what was being said. He's pointing to Shane Kavanagh. He's bringing a free in an extra 10 metres, and there's a chance here for Pat Short now. He may well go for goal here, and the way he's standing over it, it would appear that that's his intention. Pat Short, perhaps going for goal. Off the crossbar, back in again to Short. Saved by the goalkeeper amazingly by Paul Doulahan, and it comes out to Tony O'Regan. And now finally maybe these few incidents may spark this game to life. It's a line ball for Galway, far side. But here's the drama unfolding. Pat Short hit it off the crossbar. It comes again. Now watch the goalkeeper here. He got a boot to it, and it was deflected out, and eventually Tony O'Regan effected a good clearance. But good goalkeeping by Doulahan.
They're coming! They're coming! They're coming!
Galway making a change as Paddy McCormick, the Tipperary manager, makes positional switches. It looks like Joe Leary. Here's the incident again with Pat Short. He really hit it very well. Unlucky to come back off the crossbar. He came again, and watch the goalkeeper. Good reflex save. Kevin Briscoe is on for Galway from the Mulla club for Joe O'Leary, and it's Tipperary that's under pressure. Here's Kevin Hayes, makes an angle, takes a shot and sends it wide. Kevin Briscoe, who normally plays wing back or midfield, he started wing back against Derry, but Joe O'Leary got his place back. Now the roles are reversed. Well dispossessed. Great play by Shane Kavanagh, but again hit it with too much power. It's well wide. Great catch again by Owen Lynch. Well hooked by David Morrissey and David Kennedy. Goes back to Hugh Maloney. Tony O'Regan bats it down. Regan is fouled, and that's going to be a free out for Galway. Tipperary playing a little bit better now, Micheál, particularly around midfield.
Tágus tá taharúdianta go pádraig mac agus dáhí ó marísa me himachatan agus brisile bheith abhachtanta go ach fósal chud is módan sile bheith an ngaile bheith an godísa.
Dermot Fitzgerald just got a little boot to it, and it comes to Pat Short. The pass was not a good one and easily intercepted by Shane Kavanagh. Good work by David Kennedy, blocking down the effort. Evan Briscoe was the player in question, and it's David Kennedy again. Trying to send it in towards Francis Devaney. Antonio Gregan sees it go out over the in-line. Galway manager Josie Hart going back to consult with his colleagues on the selectorial team as his goalkeeper Paul Doulahan takes the puck out. Once more, it's the Tipperary half-forward line, and particularly David Kennedy that gets the space. The passing inside is substandard, and a lot of chances being wasted. Conor O'Mahony. Ball's back again to Ger Griffin to launch an attack, and there's a chance here. It's David Kennedy taking a shot, and that flies over the crossbar, and Tipperary edge a little bit closer. Very good play here by Tipperary, and wisely taking their points rather than going for goal. Joe Gantley gets away from Dara Walton. Flicking inside, Pat Short is going back there to help out, and it's Walton again. Good play. Tipperary having to work very hard to try and gain any sort of parity around midfield with these Galway players, particularly Tierney and Farragher. Lovely scale by Adrian Culnan. Giving it outside for Kenneth Burke, and Burke raises the white flag. Galway back to a 2-point lead. Joe Caesar is the player that's coming on, or coming off rather, as we watch Kenneth Burke lashing this over the crossbar. It looks like Donald McKeough is the player that's coming on for Tipperary. Joe Caesar has been taken off. McKeough from the Ballina club, and he was captain of the Tipperary minor football team this year. Here's McKeough losing possession, and it's Owen Lynch again. Dangerous ball, goalkeeper read it well, came off his line intelligently, and it's Farragher. Francis Devaney trying to get a hook in, but it's impossible when he uses the shorthand grip. This is Dara Walton sending it back again. Underneath it here is Shane Kavanagh. Both defences dominating. There's a little bit of space here created for Brendan Lucas. Doesn't try to run at the Tipperary defence. McCormick has to come off his line again. There's a chance of a goal! Scored by Kenneth Burke. The Tipperary defence exposed, and just when Tipperary seemed to be edging that a little bit closer and gaining a grip in the crucial areas of the field, this happened. Goalkeeper Patrick McCormick came off his line, it fell to Burke, and he found the net. Very good goal by the full forward from St. Thomas, and his finishing impeccable. 1-1 against Derry, he scored 1-1 against Tipperary. Kenneth Burke being fouled by Ger Griffin, and psychologically now Tipperary must be wondering, can they pull this game out of the fire? There's still plenty of time, but this is the long ball from Brendan Lucas. Goalkeeper had no option as Kevin Hayes came in on top of him, but Burke finished superbly. Ger Farragher with the free, and that sails over the crossbar for his 5th point of the match. It's the first time in the championship that Tipperary have conceded 2 goals. They conceded a goal against Cork, and that came from a free, and of course they conceded 2 here from play now. Brendan Lucas battling with Shane Sweeney. This is Johnny Marr. Kenneth Burke unable to reach it, and Griffin survives a hefty shoulder from Ger Farragher. Seemed to be a chop down there by Johnny Marr, but the referee said it wasn't. And here's Marr now. Brendan Lucas calling for it, using the short ball and indeed the short grip to prevent being hooked, but it didn't work out, and Kenneth Burke is fouled yet again. Gerard Griffin picked up an injury as we watch this again for a foul on Kenneth Burke. The left corner back for Tipperary has been playing very well. Member of the St. Flannan's College team in Ennis that lost the Harty Cup to St. Coleman's of Fermoy earlier this year. Ger Farragher, 5 points in this game, going for his 6th. That's well wide. Well, can Tipperary respond to that lead for Galway? Looks a bit intimidating, Michal.
Besianna Yakar in Isherata, Obid Anachruiga, Yanavig Tabradarn, Edirik score in the Heimshu, Name Definite Small Hyder in the Forne, the score in the Heimshu is Nafashi again Mele.
Well batted down, it comes to Johnny Marr. Up far as Kenneth Burke. Ger Griffin again. Tenacious, strong and powerful. And he wins himself the free. Well, Kieran Finnerty has been outstanding for Galway cornerback, and so too has his opposite number 4, Ger Griffin. Pat Short to take the free. But it's well wide. Large crowd coming into Croke Park, of course, for the senior game coming up later on this afternoon. As Tipperary take on Wexford, and so far the Tipperary supporters will be a little bit disappointed. Their players are playing very well in the minor game, but unable to be creative up front. Maybe this time. Again, it's too powerful. And it goes off Tony O'Gregan, and very good play by David Kennedy to knock the slither off the fullback and thus concede the 65. Watch this again as, in fact, judging by that, Kennedy was the one who actually knocked it out. Pat Short now with the 65. It's this right in under the crossbar, and Paul Doulahan sends it over the bar, taps it over the bar to make it to 2 out of 2 for Pat Short in terms of success. And in the 65s, and Tipperary get a little bit closer. Looks like Andrew Smith is warming up along the sideline, but that substitution for Galway won't take place for a moment as we continue on with the action. Shane Sweeney. Fouling by Hugh Maloney on Kieran Finnerty means Tipperary concede the free. Galway making a change. Andrew Smith coming on for Tom Tierney. Andrew is an international youths rugby player. He played for Ireland this year in international youths rugby. He came on against Derry and scored a point. and making way for him is Tom Tierney. Certainly played well with Ger Farragher around the centre of the pitch. Taking the sideline cut here, the free rather, is Owen Lynch. In his spare time plays golf and has a handicap of 6, which would be the envy of many of us, a lot older than them. Here comes Conor O'Mahony for Tipperary. Trying to sneak it through, and it's Owen Lynch again. Like the substitute a moment ago, Lynch also played international youth rugby this season for Ireland. Trevor Ivers stopped in his tracks. Comes to Adrian Cullinan. Down towards Joe Gantley. Trying to scoop it up. Available if he needs him is Johnny Marr. Here's Marr. There's space opening up in front of him. The Tipperary defenders come to meet him, and Marr bats it over the bar. Loch Rayman gets his first point in this All-Ireland semi-final. A very good play by the number 15. Younger brother of Vinny, Galway senior, scored 1-6 against Derry, and now a point in this All-Ireland semi-final. Kenneth Burke. Great point. Superb score. Third attempt, third point. And the full forward from St. Thomas playing well. It's a goal and 2 points now for Kenneth Burke. Pat Short, well blocked down by Owen Lynch. Brendan Lucas flicking it outside. Joe Gantley, this time dispossessed by Darragh Walton. The attempted hook by Gantley almost paid off. Here's Hugh Maloney. First mistake really by Tony O'Gregan. He's been powerful at pull back, but Tipperary can't avail of it. And Kevin Briscoe is back there for Galway. And so too is Adrian Cullinan. It's good play. Great catch by Shane Sweeney. He's found it difficult enough to control Brendan Lucas here this afternoon. Pat Short dropping this one in. A chance for David Kennedy. Or Francis Devaney. The goalkeeper is put out over the end line for Tipperary's third 65 of the match. They need goals, Mihal.
Well, Tasha the Tastal Waha Tasha Anna Yakudin Dolphin Keeney and Nike the Sar Hosan Tori Ha again Island.
Paddy McCormack and Billy Ryan again try and come up with a strategy that will give them more scores at this stage. They've about 8 minutes left in this game. In towards Francis Devaney. Over towards Joe Gantley. Darragh Walton was pulling wildly, and the referee is correct to give the free to Galway. This is the incident again, no doubt about the challenge being an illegal one. Tipperary thinking about a double substitution, as you can see. William Ryan is coming on for David Kennedy, and that will be the corner forward position. Tipperary are also thinking about introducing John Kennedy for Francis Devaney in an effort again to change the full forward line. Meanwhile, Galway are also thinking about introducing Niall Healy. Change in the Tipperary ranks still happening. As you can see, the linesman doing his job, waiting for the player to reach the sideline. And change has now taken place. It looks like David Kennedy, in fact, has gone off for Tipperary. And Joe Gantley is also going off the pitch for Galway. Niall Healy is the player that's coming on from Croke. So this is 21 for 13. Here's Ger Farher going to take the free. Galway very much in control of this game, and the scoreboard now reflecting their superiority in the crucial areas: midfield, half back line, half forward line. Here's a chance for Andrew Smith, but he belts it well wide. Galway have had 15 wides now in this game. In contrast, Tipperary have registered 9. Andrew Smith. As Tipperary regain possession. They've changed their full forward line in an effort to get more penetration, but again, with Shane Kavanagh and Tony O'Regan there, it's hard for Tipperary to be incisive, and yet again, under pressure, another wide. 2 David Kennedys, in fact, are gone for Tipperary. That's 11 and 13 have, in fact, been taken off. Francis Devaney is on the pitch. He's playing now at centre-half forward. Johnny Marr. Going back to gather is Ger Griffin. Under pressure from Andrew Smith. Scooping it up is Niall Healy. Kenneth Burke again. And it got in between the goalkeeper and the post. McCormack will be very disappointed with this. Beaten at the near post means that Kenneth Burke has 2 goals and 2 points to his credit, and Galway are on the road to at least have an opportunity of retaining their All-Ireland title. Donald McKill. Good play by Adrian Cullinan. Can play wing forward or wing back, and he's playing a very defensive role at the moment. Here's Owen Lynch. Again, it's Ger Griffin that has to sweep up the loose ball. Let's just watch this effort again, as the ball was sent out as Kenneth Burke, and he sent it in, and really it's a shot that should have been saved by Patrick McCormack, and no wonder he hits the post here in disgust afterwards. So David Collins is coming on for Galway, and it looks like Shane Kavanagh, centre-half back, is being called ashore. It certainly isn't because he's playing badly. As you can see, he's slightly limping, and David Collins comes in to a central defensive position and has just recovered, in fact, from a dose of tonsillitis. So it's good to see him getting a few minutes here. Francis Devaney is now definitely going off for Tipperary as they make another change to their attack, but with 2 minutes left, this is Michael Farrell that's coming on. And with just over 2 minutes left, it's highly unlikely that Tipperary can prevent Galway from winning. That's a great sideline cut, but unfortunately goes to the left. This is a good Galway side, Micheál.
Ilean áras an échor agus tá siad go tréal póirin tríú bua as a chéile iad bhd róhád a hobradárin atá sa tarna le. Bhí brisile bhí leis go sa chéad le ach fós bhí tobradárin in reach cahap na fingin agóibh ach ní hálaigh há sa tarna le.
Michael Farrell, the substitute, immediately into the action. Defensively strong, powerful at midfield with Tierney and Farragher, and with forwards like Adrian Cullinan and Kenneth Burke, this Galway side will be very difficult to beat. Here's Cullinan, one of the most impressive players on view here in Croke Park this afternoon. Bringing it out to Andrew Smith. Kenneth Burke just taking his eye off it slightly as a second chance. He looks at the goal post and he sends it over the bar. 2 goals and 3 points for the full forward. And every attempt in goal has been successful. 5 out of 5. This is a great score, really. Recovered well. Here he looked at the post, thought he could do it, and he did. David Morrissey trying to get away from Brendan Lucas. But Galway are very strong in defence. And no matter how many balls that Tipperary fire towards the Galway goalpost, they really aren't creating the space where goals can be taken. They got one chance, that was to Trevor Ivers, and he took it well. There's a foul on the Tipperary forward here, so it's a chance for Pat Short. And they've no other option really here but to try and create a goal. Short drives it in. And again, it's Tony O'Gregan. Fine player, good full-back. Kevin Briscoe. Shows there are some footballers in Galway at underage, and it's going to be a sideline ball for Tipperary. Good cut by Pat Short, but again, too powerful, well wide. 11 wides in this game for Tipperary, but really overall they cannot complain. They've been beaten by a better side as we approach that full-time whistle. Phelan Murphy and the rest of the Galway management there, Damien Curley with his arm in the hurling, one of the selectors, back here in Croke Park for All-Ireland final day with a side that's very impressive, well balanced right throughout the side. There's a chance again for Ger Farragher, who scored 5 points, going to take this free. Josie Hart, a happy Galway manager. They scored 2-6 in this second half, 1-6 in the first half, and it reflects well on their superiority throughout the field. Andrew Smith, oh, that's a great point by a substitute, showing the Portumna man is adamant and determined to get a place in the starting 15 for the All-Ireland final. And he scored a point against Derry, as I mentioned earlier, and he's done the same here against Tipperary. Michael Farrell gets a touch to it. David Collins. Farrell again under pressure. Back to Owen Lynch. Fine catch by Kevin Hayes. And that's going to be a free. There's a jersey pull on the Tipperary man. Overall, Micheál, certainly this Galway side look very impressive, well balanced, aren't they?
Builan an bhar fad an loaded agus tip hit landed hobre darns tarna le point goino nimmer tchá no her fokna ní lóra sin agluhi lechander.
There's a chance here maybe for some respectability on the scoreboard for Tipperary. Michael Farrell is fouled and another free as we're into injury time now. Over 2 minutes played. William Ryan, sub-goalkeeper, can also play forward. Here he is having a lash. Goes off Tony O'Gregan, and that's another 65. The fourth 65 of the game for Tipperary. Shane Sweeney was making a quick run. Have to drop this one in. And that's pulled on, but it's well wide. And the referee, John Sexton from Brewery, blows the full-time whistle. A game that Galway richly deserved to win. Strong right down the middle, from Tony O'Gregan to Tom Tierney and Ger Farragher midfield. No doubt about the winners here. It's Galway 3-13, Tipperary 1-7, Galway in the All-Ireland final. Back to you, Michael.
Yeah, thank you very much to Marty Morrissey, Micheál O'Shea there. Well, I'm afraid that was a minor semi-final that failed to store any great excitement here at Croke Park, but Galway won't mind that, into the All-Ireland final against either Cork or Kilkenny, who meet next Sunday. Pete Finnerty, the 2 goals, I suppose, in Kenneth Burke in the second half. The first one really kind of put the stretch and the gap in it.
Yeah, we're saying at half-time that the Galway forwards had to get more into it. They really only had Adrian Cullen in the first half. But Josie Hart, he rejigged the whole forward line, and Trevor Burke went out on the wing. He brought his centre forward in full forward, and it got it ignited and it got it going. And here we see the first goal that came. It was an opportunist ball that dropped in, and if Patrick McCormick learns anything from this, never bat a ball straight back out again at forwards that are running in at you. He bats the ball out, and Kevin Hayes does well to parry it, and it's Kenneth Burke that finishes at the back of the net. Here we see the dying stages of the game. Again, Burke runs onto the ball, picks it up, and he asks the question of the goalkeeper, and even some senior forwards aren't able to do this. They don't get the ball on target, and this will happen with a wet ball, greasy conditions. It wasn't a hard shot, but he was asking the question, will you stop it, and he didn't, and that you'll get goals like that, and you could see goals like that in the senior match. Yeah. Really, Galway had too much firepower when they upped the ante in the second half, and Tipperary brought Shark out to midfield to try and counteract Farragher, and really what they did was they got rid of their best man. Galway could live without Farragher playing well, but Tipperary couldn't live without Short.